Ahead of the general election, journalists have been advised to fully entrench their rights and protect their safety while giving an accurate and inclusive coverage of the electoral processes to bring about positive changes in society. Political parties were advised to collaborate with the media to ensure an effective delivery. The Executive Director, International Press Center, Mr. Larry Arogundade, said this while reiterating the commitment of IPC in monitoring the activities of the media during the period of the election.
Let me just take a quote from the government. So under government, for example, the first point there is that at all levels, government and its agencies shall ensure safety of journalists during electoral processes, including refraining from assault or intimidation in any manner. So part of our duty in reporting the elections is to ask first PRO, commissioners of police in our states, and so on and so forth, what steps they are taking to ensure that journalists are safe during these elections. Now, for political parties, which is the next one, I mentioned in my welcome remarks that they have an obligation. This is how the obligation is captured in the code. It says political parties shall respect the rights of journalists to cover and report their activities and accordingly grant them reasonable access to their events and officials for this purpose, while refraining from harassing or intimidating them in any manner whatsoever. Now this is very, very important because this code, as we shall soon see, also says that we should give equitable coverage to parties and candidates. When you prevent journalists from covering your assignments, and then it turns out that you are not well reported by the media, you can't then come around and blame the same medium for not covering you when you are the one that is responsible. So it's there, and then of course the election management body, INEC. I said in my welcome remarks that they're doing a lot, but there's always room for improvement. So if some of us have challenges having access to INEC, we collaborate with them under this project and will be willing to convey your complaints to INEC.
Speaking in an interview with the press, he also stated the need to address challenges faced by journalists and the need to protect the media safety nationwide.
We decided to have this event for us to be able to present the revised Nigerian Media Code of Election Coverage. And in the course of the presentation, also talk about some of the challenges that we are facing. Because one thing is for us to say that as journalists, we must be ethical, we must be professional. Another thing is for the conducive environment to be provided for us. And that's why I talked about the political parties and the government. They need to come together and ensure that we are protected as safety matters. Journalists get attacked while covering campaign activities. They get molested. In 2019, even journalists that were accredited were simulated by security agencies. So we have used this occasion, or rather we're using this occasion to draw the attention of INEC, government, particularly the security agencies, and the political parties to their own responsibilities if they want us to cover these elections effectively. For example, it would be wrong for any political party or candidate to deny any one of us access to their public events, because the Nigerian Media Code of Election Coverage says they should give us free access. Where some of them believe that we are not doing what is right, what we are saying is make use of the regulatory mechanisms to lodge your complaints, but not go after individual journalists who are on the field. That is very, very important. We have also conveyed this gathering in order for us to talk about our own protection, about our own safety as individual journalists, because we have some rights which we don't exercise. If you are being asked to go and cover election in an area where there's likely to be outbreak of violence, even if there may be no violence, as individual journalists, we have the right to demand insurance cover from our employers, because anything can happen. We have what we call risk factors in the coverage of elections. So it is our right. It's also our right to check our health status. Don't say because you are looking good, you are okay. Make sure you see your physician before you go out of the field. And if your physician says you need a rest, tell your editor and demand for such a rest.
A professor, Department of Mass Communication, University of Lagos, Professor Abigail Ndisika, said there is need for a practical direction on the do's and don'ts on regulatory processes in order to deepen democracy.
First, it presents state-of-the-art on media reportage of elections in Nigeria. It also helps us to have practice direction on what we should do as journalists so that we can deepen democracy. Knowing that the media is a critical institution in elections, the others being the Nigerian police, the INEC, the courts, and also the political parties and candidates. So it's very important that we do a review of what we have done and the strength of our work, where the gaps are so that we can fill the gaps, so that we can have, we can make our impact in the electoral process.
Norma Omeje,